Uchaguzi mdogo wa Kibra umeonekana kuwa na idadi kubwa zaidi ya wawaniaji. Kinyang'anyiro kilianza pale Tume Huru ya Uchaguzi na Mipaka IEBC ilipowaidhinisha wawaniaji 24 kuwania ubunge wa Kibra. Lakini orodha hiyo imekuwa ikionekana kupungua pale vyama tofauti viliamua kuwapigia debe wawaniaji wao. Na sasa wanaotambulika sana ni wawaniaji watatu wa vyama vinavyopigania umaarufu katika eneo bunge hilo. Hata hivyo bado mpiga kura wa eneo bunge la Kibra ana orodha ndefu ya kuchagua. Eliud Owalo ambaye anawania kiti hicho kupitia chama cha ANC ni mzaliwa wa Asembo Bondo. Ana uzoefu kama mtaalamu wa kutoa ushauri kwa mikakati ya usimamizi. Alikuwa mwanzilishi na katibu mkuu wa kundi la Friends of Raila. Mwaka 2013 alikuwa kiongozi wa kampeni za urais za CORD. McDonald Mariga ambaye amestaafu kama mwanasoka wa kulipwa anawania kiti hicho kwa tiketi ya Jubilee. Alizaliwa mwaka 1987 na aliweka historia ya kuwa Mkenya wa kwanza kucheza katika ligi ya mabingwa ya barani Ulaya. Bernard Okoth ambaye anawania kupitia ODM anatarajia kumrithi kakake Ken Okoth aliyekuwa mbunge wa Kibra. Bernard ana nduguze watano na walilelewa na mama tu eneo la Kisumu ndogo Kibra. Aliendeleza shughuli za maendeleo kwa niaba ya mwenda zake nduguye alipokuwa akitibiwa nje ya nchi na hata baada ya kifo chake. Mhandisi Hamisi Butichi wa chama cha Ford Kenya alilelewa Kibra. Katika uchaguzi wa mwaka 2017 alishindwa katika kinyang'anyiro cha ubunge wa Ikolomani. Wawaniaji wengine ambao pia wanatarajia kushinda katika uchaguzi huu ni Edita Ochieng wa chama cha Ukweli. Yeye ni mmoja wa wanawake wawili wanaowania kuliwakilisha eneo bunge hilo la Kibra. Alizaliwa na kulelewa Kibra. Ni mama watoto watatu na anayepigania usawa, haki na kumaliza mizozo, ubaguzi na ukandamizaji. Ana shahada ya chuo kikuu cha Moi na stashahada ya kijamii. Yeye pia ni mwanzilishi wa mtandao wa wanawake wa Kibra. Mwanamke wa pili katika kinyang'anyiro hicho ni Malasen Hamadi wa chama cha United Green Movement. Ni mzaliwa wa Kibra, ana shahada ya ualimu kutoka chuo kikuu cha Nairobi. Ana mradi wa kuhakikisha usafi eneo la Kibra aliouanzisha Februari mwaka 2018. Mwaniaji mwingine ni Anasiet Don wa chama cha Democratic. Don ana umri wa miaka 26 na ni mzaliwa wa Asumbi County ya Homa Bay. Akiwa na umri wa miaka 13 aliondoka Homa Bay na kuja kuishi Kibra. Ana shahada kutoka chuo kikuu cha Nairobi na sasa anasomea shahada ya uzamili katika chuo hicho. Wagombea wengine ni pamoja na Felix Nditi, mwaniaji wa kujitegemea, Ibrahim Kimorko wa chama cha Roots, Kasim Abdul wa chama cha The New Democrats, Titus Mutinda wa chama cha Republican Liberty, Matthew Musyoka mwaniaji wa kujitegemea, Jared Nyakundi wa chama cha National Liberal, Elijah Nyamwamu wa NAK Kenya, Emmanuel Owiti wa Green Congress, David Odanga mwaniaji wa kujitegemea, Isaac Ogongo wa chama cha Justice and Freedom, Franco Ojiambo wa chama cha Democratic Unity, Shedrack Omondi mwaniaji wa kujitegemea, Shem Ocharo wa chama cha Muungano, Abraham Okoth mwaniaji wa kujitegemea na Noah Migundo mwaniaji wa kujitegemea. Wawaniaji hawa wote wamekuwa wakijipigia debe na kutoa ahadi zao kuhusiana na masuala muhimu katika eneo bunge hilo. Sasa umewadia wakati wa wapiga kura kuamua ni nani atawawakilisha vyema katika bunge la kitaifa. Nuru Abdulaziz, NTV.
Very comprehensive there from Nuru Abdulaziz. Thank you so very much. And of course also I gave you the list as well. So you have the pictures put to the faces as well, or to the names I should say. So at least you know who you will be voting for this morning. I have my panelists with me here, except for two of them that are still on the way. Martin Olo has been stuck up in traffic. He's a little bit of a glitch with his car this morning. And we're eagerly waiting also for Gideon Onyango from University of Nairobi, who is a political scientist. But in studio we have Isinta. Steve Isinta is an advocate of the High Court and a political analyst. Also, you know this particular face. This is Brian Weke. He's been flying off the radar lately, so he'll tell us where he has been after that big wedding, by the way. It seems you extended the honeymoon. Brian Weke, good to see you. And also Joshua Kiptoo, good to see you, sir, after many days, right? You come back as the Speaker of Nandi County. He has been also a resident analyst here on AM Live, and we thank you so very much for joining us. So a big day in Kibra today, but many people are saying this one is a make or break for some of the political leaders here in the country, right? For them, also on the divide of the political parties, we have them saying, if I actually try and just tip the scale a bit, this will be, you know, to actually strengthen my muscle for 2022. Let's just begin with you, looking at what is happening and the voter apathy, so to speak. I should say it's a voter apathy because it is still, the day is still young. What do you foresee today? Joshua Kiptoo.
Thank you so much, Dipal. I think one thing, as you mentioned, the issue about voter apathy, it's because it's a by-election. And every time there's a by-election, the numbers are not the same as the general election.
The general election.
Importantly, it's a weekday. Being a weekday, people have to go to work.
Yes.
I think you'll see more traffic from afternoon. Even the political parties, you can see they're a bit slow, but in the afternoon, you'll see more agents and more work going on. Number two, this election started off as just a normal election where it was a case of trying to replace the late Ken Okoth. It is very sad that no one talks about the former MP, despite the illustrious work and efforts he had done in the constituency. What it has taken is the political chessboard, which is a springboard towards 2022. And if you look at the leading candidates, you've just read out the names. Eliud Owalo, you've talked about Imran Okoth, you've talked about McDonald Mariga. The individual candidates, yes, the individual candidates seem to be second in line. What comes out is the leading contenders. In this case, for ODM, there is the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. For Jubilee, it is William Ruto. And that's why even if you look at the newspapers, when you say Kibra decides, it's about the bigwigs. That is the national leadership. So the Kibra election has taken a different turn. It is not even about Kibra itself. It's about testing. How are we? How are the formations? Importantly, we are going towards a succession politics.
Yes.
When it comes to succession, each party does not have a guarantee as to what will turn out. There's no guarantee that Jubilee will be there in 22. There will be no guarantee NASA will be there. In fact, NASA has imploded as we speak because of this Kibra election.
We shall look at that.
So this election is basically offering a testing ground. And that is why you will be surprised that at the end of the day, we won't be talking about who won. It will be about which party won and which leading political light had a say in this. That
right.
I think
so
is
we are political parties also saying that Deputy William Ruto is just riding his luck as it is right now. He's not really seeking to actually win this particular contest, but to galvanize support for 2022. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think for William Ruto, there are two issues. Number one, it's about Jubilee. As it stands, Jubilee is as good as dead. And
it is as good
as dead because why would we have a case whereby the Deputy President is the only person pushing the agenda and the President and his side seem to be off? The only photo op we saw is one day President kinda acknowledging the candidate, but now as it stands, Jubilee has been left to the Deputy President. That's number one. So it is his machine, it is his juggernaut. And even if you look at the formations that he's done, it has been a one-man game. It is his effort, his organization, even the hosting and the campaigns, he's been the face of Jubilee. Secondly, there's always that notion that if you want to be a leading presidential contender, Nairobi is at the center of it. And questions have always been, does the Deputy President have a grip in Nairobi? I think in this election, he's proven he can mobilize. He's proven he can mobilize and have a say in this. Kibra was expected to be more or less like a shoo-in for the ODM party or for the NASA coalition. But what he's shown the last, I think, 2 months, it's also a show. It is beyond the winning. The optics are clear that when it comes to formation, it doesn't matter where. Even in Nairobi, we'll bring the battle to your doorstep. And that is what I think the Deputy President has achieved. My only concern is what then does it portend for Jubilee? Because there will be a postmortem. How comes the entire Jubilee party seem to be disarranged? You find more or less the President's wing to be more sympathetic to the ODM candidate. So William has been the only one carrying the candidate for Jubilee. In fact, he's actually campaigned single-handedly, and then with his side of the divide within the Jubilee coalition. So the ramifications are dire and bigger than even the winning. One, survival for the Jubilee coalition. Number two, survival for NASA coalition. But as it stands, at least for NASA, they have made it clear formally that after this election, ODM is going its way. Wiper, ANC, Ford Kenya have already said for them, they're okay. For Jubilee, it's a moment of a baptism of fire. Definitely after this, they must be post-mortem.
Interesting enough also that we have ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi saying that I'm going to now take ODM leader Raila Odinga to court also for adversely mentioning me in the Goldenberg scandal. In light of what is really happening right now, isn't that really late in the day to actually try and pick up this cab that is from the Goldenberg? Let's hear from Stevie Center. Good morning.
Good morning, Dibal. Thank you. For me, just I do not need to regurgitate what Mr. Kiptoo has said.
Yes.
Because what he has said is actually the truth. These two major political formations are as good as gone. And the thing is, for me, my concern would be that the reality is that for Kibra residents, the voters, nothing much, they should not expect much after these elections in terms of their progress in the development and all those kind of things, because like politicians usually do, they use voters as pawns. And after these elections, we go on to the next one.
Yes.
The next argument, what is it about? Whether it's a by-election or it's an issue that comes up. Remember, BBI is now already a point of discussion.
Yes.
So actually, Kibra by-elections are a distraction to some things and to some people. So they want to do this, and I do agree with Mr. Kiptoo that and actually you're the one who insinuated this, that for the deputy president, it's not really about winning. It's about the optics, like Mr. Kiptoo said. And it is actually very sad that we seem to be doing the same things every time, politically speaking, and we expect things to be different. Because the reality is that every time we have elections, the reminder is that it is not the voters who matter. It is about ambitions of big wigs, what the different political formations, what will happen to them, because we have not had political discipline in Kenya to be able to say that if we can have a party to survive even 10 years, or a formation to survive 10 years, we could start talking about policies, principles. But unfortunately, we keep going around in circles. And for voters in Kibra, I think when we talk about this, the issue of the numbers, of course, yes, the issue of being a weekday, a working day, and
yes,
all that. But we must also remember Kibera being an informal settlement of sorts. There's also huge unemployment. So to me, I would also feel that there's a bit of voter apathy, because this is a constituency you would have felt, in the past, there would be excitement, by now there'll be long queues, whether working day or not. So I think to some extent, I would regard it to a bit of voter fatigue, because Kibera has a huge youth demographic. And by now, if you're seeing the voters, the polling stations being as they are, it gives me some sense of voter fatigue.
Voter fatigue?
Yes.
Right. It's too early to call maybe with the voter fatigue, but as also Joshua Kiptoo is saying, by-elections do not really attract a swath of voters as it is with the general election. But we just want also to go down on the ground again, and then we'll hear from Brian Weke and Dr. Gideon Onyango from University of Nairobi as well. We saw what was happening previously, that there were also change of the polling stations. Some of the voters were expressing frustrations with this, that we were not really alerted, though an SMS was sent, but some of them did not receive this as well. But we want just to hear from Leila, who's on the ground right now, to just also keep us apprised of where she is. Leila, since we last spoke, I know you've moved elsewhere. Just give me an update of where you are. Sometimes it's just so hard to keep track of what is happening on the ground, but you were there to tell us.
Well, the Kibra Primary School is an expansive ground. Remember, some of the polling stations had to be merged. KCSE is the main reason why. So here we have the Raila Odinga Educational Center, as well as the Kibra Primary School polling stations that are happening here. 16 centers in total, and thousands are expected here. Probably Raila Odinga could be the only, if not the few, party leaders who will vote for their preferred candidates later in the day. We are joined by the Secretary General of ODM, Edwin Sifuna, and probably the first question would be, what time are we expecting both Imran and Raila Odinga to come here to cast their votes?
The candidates should be voting anytime between now 9 and 10, and then Raila Odinga will come in at around 11 a.m.
What are some of the challenges that since 6 a.m. you have experienced here?
I think for the two centers that are here, both Raila Educational and Old Kibra Primary School, we have not had many challenges. We kicked off the exercise on time at 6 a.m. and so far I've seen only one gentleman who, even after putting his finger on the AVID machine, was not able to be identified as a voter in this particular polling station. Other than that, it's just a bit of a confusion at the gate because we have merged 2 centers, but other than that, everything else is going on well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can catch up with you later in the day. Probably some issues will have raised. So, Dibal, probably we can just walk into another center. This, I believe, could be now the Kibra Primary School polling station. Earlier, we were looking at the Raila Odinga Educational Center among the very many. Habari ya asubuhi, hali yako ni vipi?
Niko nashukuru.
Unahisi vipi kuhusiana na siku ya leo na matarajio yako kama mkazi wa Kibra ni yapi?
Matarajio tunangoja kwa Mwenyezi Mungu tu.
Okay, so many of the people here in Kibra are hoping that all will go well in the entire day of voting. This is one of the many that we have been able to see. Habari ya asubuhi, hali ya kupiga kura inaendelea vipi?
Inaendelea mzuri, lakini hatukubaliki kuongea na nyinyi, mnaweza ngoja nje kidogo.
Hapo.
You can talk to our kubwa wetu, sawa?
Asante sana. As you can see, Dibal, things are going on quite slowly. Security is also here. People are casting their votes. Everything seems to be well. So Kibra will be deciding for the next few hours. Here we will be standing by for the Honorable Raila Odinga and Imran Okoth, who are expected later in the morning, as well as thousands of the 118,000 registered voters in the entire Kibra constituency who are turning up this morning to cast their votes to replace Ken Okoth, who has been their member of parliament for the last 7 years. He passed on earlier in July, and they hope to replace him. There's a flurry of events that had culminated into this day. As I said before, 23 aspirants have tossed themselves into this ball game, hoping that the people of Kibra will be able to choose them. So at the moment, nothing much is going on. People are trickling in slowly as the day progresses, and we'll be here to bring you the events as they continue.
Many thanks indeed, Leila Mohammed there on the ground, and of course giving us an update of what is happening currently. As we can see, we shall be also projecting some of the pictures from other wards as well, Sarangombe, Laini Saba, the entire also Makina as well. So keep your eyes peeled and keep also your ears pinned back to listening to what will be happening on the ground. But we continue with the conversation at pace with our panelists. We have Brian Wake here as well. Brian, good to see you after a long time. First of all, tell us, where have you been?
What do you mean, where have I been?
I haven't seen you like in a long while. I know Joshua, also Gideon and Isinta will tell us, hey, this guy has been missing. He's been flying off the radar for a while.
Sometimes, you know, it's good to be quiet.
It's good to be
Kiptoo
quiet.
will tell you that's a political strategy.
It says really something is on the offing again. Maybe as we're heading to the 2022, you never know. Yeah? You know, the military normally have this strategy, the 3 R's. You retreat, then you recoup, then you relaunch. So maybe you've been recouping. Now time to relaunch will come as well.
Correct.
But good to see you, though.
Correct. Good to see you. Good. First of all, I'm very happy that Kiptoo has just told me that he's actually the Speaker of Nandi County. And if you look at that county, it's actually literally being run by young people.
You've been living under the rock?
Yes, I have.
You see? Flying off the radar.
I've been quiet. So I just want to congratulate him, though it's a little bit late. Now, as regards the by-election in Kibra, key things, when I listen to people currently lamenting that the government is not working, people are suffering, there are no jobs. But you remember, the issue of Tano Tena. You finish Tano, another one, Kumi, I don't know what, you know. And when you listen to the current conversations, you hear people saying that we will do things differently. Now they are posed with more or less the same questions. And you know, this country, I fail to understand how things work. It is actually a very serious cartel.
Yes.
From the media, if you listen to the media, they're actually clearly showing us that there are actually only 3 options. And they're saying the 2 options are more viable than the third option. And again, that makes me wonder, as a country. We sit here, when you hear Kiptoo saying that there are very serious issues on the ground. People have no work, the youth are unemployed, there are services that need to be delivered to the people, but when conversations are being had, it's a question of 2022. It's a question of who will win. Is it, I don't know whose bedroom, I don't know, somebody has come at the doorstep. And I think conversations should be more deeper than just that. However, let me say this, for Jubilee, and more so for the Deputy President, I think if you look at analysis of this great county,
yes,
there are only 2 people who control the masses. That is the President of the Republic of Kenya and Raila Amolo Odinga. So for the Deputy President to come in strongly, he's actually trying to show Kenyans that I can actually mobilize in Nairobi, which is a good PR gimmick. As he says, it is more of optics. So it's not really about winning. And I'm very glad that he's come out very strongly. So at least even in ODM, for the first time, there was very serious nomination where actually Imran won fairly. And I think without that, then there would not have been investment in terms of the nomination process. What I've also seen, and if Kenyans are very keen, ODM, NASA is literally dead. Jubilee is definitely dead. And Raila Odinga, if you look at what, is very smart. He's actually using this by-election to craft a new coalition. As you can see, he's invited a number of people who traditionally were not with him. And they are saying, look here, this is the new formation. So I can tell you for a fact, moving forward after this by-election, nationally you will see coalitions being built. And if you look at currently in Kibra, Raila has actually started doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say from also Dr. Gideon Onyango on this, you can tell us more of what is really happening on the ground. You agree with the assessment. This is all about optics for Jubilee with Deputy President William Ruto. A lot of these candidates that also have been fronted, most of them are fresh, young, and they're calling them novices, right? Aside from Elodo Owalo, who has been an ODM strategist before, some of them, this is actually a first stab in politics as well. Right? What will be your assessment?
Thank you very much, Dabal. I will agree with majority of the words that have been said by our colleagues. This Kibra, myself, I see it as the testing ground for the 2022. Ruto actually is not coming to win, but rather to bring a statement that, you see, much as you are looking at me in the way you are looking at me, I can actually also do something for you in Nairobi. So things happening on the ground notwithstanding, because these things have been happening year in, year out. What Kibra people are undergoing is not something new.
Yes.
So we cannot bring the issue of unemployment, the issue of poor service delivery, to analyze whether or not, or the pattern of voting in these general elections. Yes, exactly. So I see it as a situation whereby these elites are regrouping, as my colleague has said. They are creating new alliances, and they are finding who is with us and who can be challenging us in this stuff going forward. But more or less, from where I stand, I see it as according to from where the people are looking at it from. I think it's more or less the legacy of late MP Ken Okoth, who is fit to get into his shoes. That's what is ongoing there. For the Kibra people, I think so. But for the politician, it is about pulling the muscle.
Pulling the muscle.
Yes, well, URP group, I can call it. I can't talk about Jubilee, because Jubilee died immediately general elections was finished. Probably it even died before the general election that
Yes.
we
Right.
went into.
Some of the members of Jubilee have been also crying foul that they've never been, or they've never had a PG since, even general election until right now. You're a member of Jubilee Party, aren't you?
My county assembly has a majority Jubilee. I can confirm that I don't remember my members being called for a Jubilee meeting since 2017. We have an arrangement where they have been paying subscription all through, but there's never been a PG. In fact, I don't think our party democracy works in Kenya. Because if you look at individually, even at the county level, I would expect the grassroots form of organization. The county assemblies would form the best basis or catchment for the parties to even have that sustainability of the parties post-election. Because at the national level, the MPs may be busy with other things, but the county assemblies have the best. If you have an assembly that has a majority Jubilee, majority NASA, do they have PGs? They never happen. They never call. In fact, the only time we deal with the parties when we have an issue. Maybe a majority leader has been removed, the chief whip has been removed. That is the only time we had an issue. Last time you saw Jubilee acting was when Elachi was fighting with Guyo. That is the last time you saw. That is the only engagement you'll have. Beyond that, it's over.
All right. Commander also supporting Imran on this.
And that's a nominated Jubilee.
He's a nominated Jubilee stalwart as well.
Yes. Aisha Jumwa was in NASA but supporting McDonald Mariga. So that just confirms what we've said. And this is, it is not something new. In Kenya since 92, every election cycle has a new formation. KANU was the only consistent party up to 2002, and then post 2002 after President Moi left, that was it. So since 2002, there's always a new formation. What changes is the individual. Like the individual now dictates I'll be here. Raila has been at the center of it. The only difference is now whatever the deputy president has now upped his game, he's at that level. That what will remain after this would be what will be the next vehicle for the deputy president. Will he retain Jubilee as it is, or will he have to find a different formation? That is the only question. The president team now seem to be leaderless because the president won't be in 22. He may influence, but he won't be. And I think the deputy president has clearly shown that it's time. He's forcing the decision that we can't wait and sit thinking that 22 will just happen. It's here with us.
You've seen the writing on the wall.
It is here with us.
All right.
Kibra is just a testing ground.
It is just a testing ground, but also I need to apprise you on this particular editorial cartoon that we had on Tuesday. This is by Stano, maybe just telling us what sort of formations we are talking about. Is also Kibra by-election a spawning ground for this by-election? I mean, for some of the formations. We can see that is Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who is the hen there, right? And he's actually laying new eggs. This is Mutua, Ngilu, Kifuta Kipwana also I think is on the other side. And you can see also we have, the epitaph there, yeah? Rest in peace, NASA.
I think the biggest...
These are the governors whose terms are ending.
Sorry?
In fact, the biggest loss in that cartoon is Kalonzo Musyoka.
Kalonzo Musyoka.
Because that would mean, even if you've seen how the deputy president has been dealing with Ukambani, they have been dealing with the three governors. The three governors seem to be having a lose-lose coalition. Mutua, Ngilu, and Kivuda. Raila getting them to come campaign for Imran was a further nail in the coffin. So the RIP is sure. NASA, at least, they have made it formal. They are no longer hiding. Jubilee will keep saying we're here, we're there, but they are as good as done. So for NASA, I think for this cartoon, the biggest loss will be Kalonzo Musyoka. He seemed to be lost in the whole formation. No one seemed to bother with him. Even when it comes to campaigning for the candidates, the DP is the face for Mariga. Raila is the face for Imran. Mudavadi is the face for Oalo. You've seen a bit Wetangula in small aspects. Even Boniface Mwangi at least is there campaigning for editor. But where is Musyoka? Where is Musyoka?
Where is Musyoka? That is a probing question. Maybe also the Star will be answering where Musyoka is, and we'll show you much, much later.